People of the internet invading our shops.
Yes. You get to peer into the clack shack and the wood pile over there that you got going on.
What? Hey, you just told me it was neatly organized. It's not a wood
It
pile.
it does look better. I'm just saying that because you can't really see mine. It's right below the alien over there. Well, good evening, everybody. How are y'all? I'm tired, partially sunburned, uh, but I'm alive.
Thought you were supposed to be in the shade yesterday.
I was yesterday, but I've been out in the sun all day today.
Oh, okay. Well, I was out in the sun yesterday, sort of.
Well, I gifted myself a new lawnmower for my birthday, and
Did you finally get the goats?
no, I got me a new lawnmower. I've been out there playing on it today. I'm trying to get a little bit of sun, and I think I got a little more than what I needed.
Yeah, I got some of that Georgia sun while I was down there, and that was not fun.
Yeah, yeah, it gets a little hot, and today, especially when you're cutting grass because you're moving, so you don't feel like you're getting as much sun as you actually are until you stop, and it's like, okay, my skin's burning.
Yeah,
So
yeah. You always notice when it's too late.
yeah. Well, how is everybody? Hello. I'm trying to go through the comments and see who all's here. But y'all know I'm not a speed reader, and sometimes it gets confusing. Uh, Peach Jam is behind us. I got some video clips and stuff like that, but it's going to be a little while before I can get everything put together. Had a little mix up with some SD cards, and it's going to take some tweaking to get all that video pulled together. So I'm going to do what I can, but no promises. But I'll get it as soon as I can get it. Uh, Oh, Steve, you'll be happy. I know I've done told you this, but there will soon be a CNC here at the shack. I can turn it up, guys,
Very
but
nice.
I can turn it up, but it's actually peeking out in the red over here. So I don't know if y'all want me to turn my bike up too much. Uh, does it
Well,
sound all right on your side there, Steve?
I bumped up my microphone or my headphones a little bit earlier, so
Well, it's showing.
but I'm
It's
not. I don't have to hear myself comparatively to it, so
yeah. Well, it's
I
showing
could.
it's showing me like midway through the orange there,
Yeah.
and I'm afraid if I go too
Hmm.
high, it's gonna flatten me out. Y'all won't be able to get to
Well,
hear my country swagger.
I could always try to bump mine down a little bit,
Uh, I'm not sure what's
but
going on.
mine looks pretty. Yeah, mine's just in the green. So,
Yeah, we should be good. Uh,
so North Alabama barbecue is up in my neck of the woods. Is that what he said?
well, he's a truck driver, so there's a chance.
He's up there. Oh yeah, Wednesday. Well, if you let's see, yeah, it was yesterday. We had a lot of storms come through. Actually, um, about halfway between here where I live and my flying field, which is about 40 miles, there was confirmed tornado activity. So we had a little excitement yesterday, but I was out and about, but skirted around all of it. But
Do, do, do.
yeah, I'm going to bump
Uh,
my volume down just a little bit.
I was fixing to say I was fixing
Is
to turn
this
you
any?
down on my end.
Okay. Is this any better?
Uh, well, I tried turning mine up, but when I turned mine up, guys, my mic was actually picking up Steve as he was talking. So in the headsets.
Well,
So maybe we got them leveled out now. Who knows?
yeah, I bumped my microphone down almost half from the source, so hopefully that
Yeah.
helped out.
Roger.
But I could just mute. I know you'd love that. I'll just
No.
chat in the
No,
comments.
it would get boring without you, Steve. It would get boring, no doubt.
So
Uh,
you have your CNC coming. That's
yes,
good.
I got tracking information on it, and I will have the same smart 4040 here in the next few days. There's going to be a learning curve. There's going to be a little bit of putting it together. I've went ahead because I did have a pretty good idea that it was coming. So I went ahead and started doing some research as far as assembly pitfalls and what to look for, setup, software, and all that. So I've been kind of trying to pre-educate myself before it gets here, so that I'm not, got this new toy in front of me and just jump in there without any training whatsoever. So I've been doing a little bit of research on that particular machine and how it works, and so far, I think I'm going to like it from what I'm seeing as far as the videos that other guys have made and some of the manufacturers' videos and stuff. So, we'll see. I'm looking forward to trying it. It may be a total disaster. I may find that CNCs are not for me, but I am dedicated to trying at least to learn it. And you guys can kind of come along and watch me learn as we go off into this adventure that is the unknown.
Well, that'll definitely be exciting. Yeah, you'll probably be breaking some bits and learning some stuff, but depending on what you get set up with as far as software, it'll smooth out pretty. You'll have a lot of it from your experience with Liper and other things, so I'm sure
Yeah.
it'll be quite enjoyable. So,
Well, I
but
got them. I got them to send me the adapter that you told me I need to get the adapter for the router
oh, good.
later on.
Yeah,
But
that'll give you some options as far as your spindle and the bits you can use. That'll probably be a little bit better than the included one.
yeah, but I'm going to start my learning process. I'm going to start with the stuff that comes with it. That way, if I do break any bits, it won't be something that I've went out and bought. So we're gonna see how it works. But I do plan once I get effective with it in its current configuration, I do plan to get the DeWalt compact router and swap it out and put it in there and get it going. They're also sending me a fourth axis, which is like a rotary for a CNC. I thought that would be kind of cool.
Hmm.
So we're gonna see how much stuff we can tear up. I'm just gonna try not to get injured in the
I will
process.
warn you, the DeWalt, uh, they using it on a CNC actually voids the warranty. So
Yeah.
but it's easier to change the brushes in
Well,
that one than the others. And that's the one I've used on my open builds for years. I've run through many sets of brushes on it. I've only really destroyed one, and that was after hours and hours of abuse. So it's a good router to go with.
yeah. Well, what about the Bosch? Do they? I'm assuming it would probably be the same way
Um,
because I've
honestly,
got
the ones,
Bosch routers that I like.
yeah, the Bosch is okay. I don't know what they do as far as warranty and such. The ones I've used on my CNC routers are either the DeWalt trim router or the Makita.
Yeah,
So,
I'm gonna. Well,
but
I'm gonna
but
stick with DeWalt.
yeah, but there are others like Jack just said. The Harbor Freight Bauer is almost an exact match to the Makita, and last I checked, it was like 70-80 bucks maybe. Um,
Yeah,
Compared to 100, if you can find the Makita on sale, it's like 100 to 120. The DeWalt one's usually like 120, 140, give or take. I haven't looked too closely recently, but yeah, no, that's all cool stuff, and I think you'll I think you'll enjoy it once you kind of get past that initial learning curve and be able to do. I mean, you're already selling things like bottle openers and stuff now. You'll be able to make some custom ones from some of your wood and whatnot as well. So
oh yeah. Well, what I want to do is get me do a router engrave, and then build a laser file to kind of go over the top of it and be able to go from the router to a laser. And I'm gonna try to get creative with it, but I think it'll be fun. We'll see. And this one's small enough; it's not gonna kill my side over here. So
yeah, no, I mean you should be able to fit that pretty well. Although you probably find yourself maybe wanting to build an enclosure for it too, just to help control some of the dust and some of the noise too. So
yeah, well, I've got a dust drop right over there that goes to my extractor, so I plan on trying to engineer something to keep that under check. So I've got,
you
I don't know if you can see it with the camera view like this, but right over there, hanging from the ceiling, there's I think it's a 2.5 inch dust collection vacuum hose that blows outside. I'm gonna try to use that. I'm gonna try to engineer something with that. We'll see how it works.
Well, welcome, Mandy, to the show, and congrats on your gently used X tool. There are plenty of videos out there to give you ideas on what to do with it, and also how to get started with it. Both Clack and I have a number of them, as those are one of the lasers we first, the diode lasers that I first was using was an X tool, and that was your first ever laser. So welcome. Feel free to ask questions and check out all the content we have on that. And it's a lot of fun. Big rabbit hole to jump down to.
Yeah, it definitely will get on you. I turned the volume up inside the streaming software, but I'm afraid if I go any higher and any higher than 100% in my other software, it's gonna pop something. I'll turn it up, guys, but I'm telling you, it's gonna pick up Steve in my headset because I'm gonna turn my headset. Let me turn my headset down. Because how about now? Say something, Steve. Let me see if it's picking you up.
How are we doing now? Is the sound any better? Wonderful
Yeah,
of live.
it's gonna pick up. It's gonna pick up my computer. So disregard all the background noise. But in order to make it louder, I mean, I can make it louder, but it's gonna pick up everything in the shop.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah.
Now
See,
you're really loud. So
that's that's three right there on my Elgato, but it's probably gonna pick up the computer below it. But we'll see.
cool. So yeah, I know. Someone else asked what CNCs I have. My primary one right now is the Onefinity Journeyman. It's got the upgraded rail for the wider. So it has about a just over 48-inch width cut capacity, 32 deep. That's the one that I've had for a few years. Before that, I had an open build Ox, which I still have in my shop, but is actually a friend's bought it. We're just waiting to get it over to his place. And I also have in my shop, but I haven't used a lot recently, is a little desktop Stepcraft CNC, the D600. So I actually started using those. I got one of those in my shop about 10 years ago, and I've gone through a few of them, learning that. And then I had my first CO2 laser for about 7.5 years now. So that's probably a little more history than you asked for, but that's kind of where I'm at with those primary machines. But
Yeah, I don't have one yet. Still waiting for delivery. Maybe after tomorrow.
well, I know we teased it last week, and you haven't seen anything on your end yet, but I got a bit of a surprise Amazon delivery on I think it was Thursday. But
Well,
the
I got an apology email.
so, but I did have the CommMaker B4 show up, which is a 20-watt fiber laser, and I did just start working with that the other night. Got it assembled, and it's actually brought it into the basement last night because it's been raining here yesterday and today. So I wanted to play with it for a bit today and such. So I've been playing around with that, teasing Mr. Clack there with the fun of it. And so hopefully we'll have some stuff out on that. Hopefully he gets his soon as well. Although then you'll be competing between that and your CNC to learn. And
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna be like I'm back in college. I'm gonna be studying. I'm gonna have two machines to learn. But yeah, I did get an email back from them after you got yours, and a couple of days passed, and I hadn't heard anything. I emailed back, and they said that apparently the guy shipped yours, and then like as he dropped yours off at the post office, he took vacation. So
well,
I haven't gotten mine yet, but he said he's supposed to be back in the office Monday, and he's going to send it to me. So
it's not only him, but all of China had a 3-day holiday starting Wednesday of this week. So they're all just coming back today, which is why my latest video has been delayed, just trying to get some confirmation of information from them before I post that. But that's on the longer B1 20-watt. So I'll hopefully be able to launch that video maybe tomorrow. And then I'm working on a few other project videos. And before Brian asks, yes, the LED one is in the works. I actually ordered a few extra parts to be able to put together a video on working with LED strands and how to customize them to different lengths and add some different power sources to them. So
well,
going to get that one out here hopefully in the near future as well, because been a little review heavy lately, but looking forward to getting back to some of the project things I've been working on. So
Yeah. Miss Sue, I'm gonna be honest with you. Large builds, I don't have the time for them anymore. I try to stay away from that stuff now. Oh, I've got so much going on. Large builds take too long for me to do, and it just I can't keep up with until I retire. Maybe one day. Uh, New computer stuck in customs. Mark said that's no good. Let's see what else we got going on here. Oh, somebody asked me what CNC did I decide to go with. Well, that's kind of a loaded question. I didn't really decide to go with one. Steve was talking, we were talking in a live, and Steve actually made the statement that if he was going to get one of the newer CNCs, like a small one, he thought that the Sane Smart 4040 would be a good machine for me to start with. And apparently, somebody was watching our show, and Sane Smart actually reached out to me and asked me if I would like to try out one of their machines. So, of course, I said yes, and they're going to send me one to test and demo and share with you guys and use here in the shack. And they're actually being pretty smart about it because it'll be the only CNC I have. So any CNC that I do, it'll be the one I'll be using. So it worked out pretty good. There's your question.
yeah,
Yeah,
you'll
Carrie, the Peach Jam was very hot. I kept my fan going the whole time. Hey, what about this Brady Bunch thing going on? Let's move it over here like that. You know? That works.
uh X Tool F1. Well, uh, you know, I'm not sure. I know they've shipped out to beta testers. I know other people have ordered it and they're waiting for it. So haven't been able to see a whole lot of real world use on it. Um, the thing that I was just trying to look at though is that trying to double check its actual rated power for its fiber output because I thought that was pretty lightweight.
Yes,
Um,
I want to say, was it 2.5 watts?
yeah, yeah. I think it's a combination IR and diode, and I've seen a few of those out there, which make it interesting from like a portable standpoint. So if you're looking for a device that you can take to a show just to kind of like do the final customization on some items, this might be a nice one because you can do both wood and natural materials, and then also metals and acrylics and things like that. Um,
Two 2 watts.
but that, yeah, so the 2 watt limit on the fiber side would be my concern of its cost versus uh, something comparable, like the ones that I just got and that hopefully Clack's getting shortly. Those are a 20 watt fiber laser, and if you're really wanting to work with metal, um, even a 20 watt is going to be kind of on the low end of being able to do very deep stuff very quickly. So really kind of if you're just wanting to play around a little bit, or if you really need that portability and just one unit that kind of does both, I one of these combos might fit the bill. You just kind of understand that the fiber side of it is going to be a bit on the light side as far as what it can do. So it'll be slower at doing things, and it won't necessarily be able to go as deep. So
Yeah, yeah. It's got the 2 watt. It says it's 2 watt IR, 10 watt diode. Which the 10 watt diode's not that bad, but then you've got such a small work area, you're going to be limited on what you can do with it. So
yeah, and most of those the infrared fiber, they're you're going to have like the 100 by 100 or 200 by 200, so you've got limited work area anyway, but you can move things around a bit. So
yeah.
just kind of coming up with the power for the speed on what you want to do.
Hey, is my Jackie Chan gone this week? Did I get rid of my
Yeah, I
Jackie
didn't
Chan?
notice that last week. Everybody else was, so. But
Well, I reconfigured some audio things that could have been causing a little latency, but I honestly think it was just restream. So maybe I'm not looking like a old kung fu movie now. But yeah, I am looking forward to the 20 watt. But guys, I don't know what Steve's doing. I think he's bribing some folks or something. Because the last two or three things that we've had going, it's like we find out or we get notified at the same exact time, and he's beating me. he's beating me to the punch on these machines, like one behind the other, behind the other. I don't know what he's doing, but he got me on this one
Yeah.
because he's already sending me videos. Oh, look what this thing will do. It's like rub it in, man. Just rub it in that I hadn't got mine yet. So, but that's okay. I'm gonna when I get my Sane Smart, I'm gonna be like, hey Steve, look at my Sane Smart.
Well, yeah, but I'll be saying that's a cute little miniature
I know
Onefinity.
you will. Hey, I know you will, but still, it is a different machine. I'll just be glad to actually have one where y'all get off my back because between you, Brian, and heavy duty Jeff over there, y'all all just been like, get a CNC, get a CNC. So I'll be glad to have it.
Well,
Somebody's
I
asking.
hope you enjoy it
Yep.
because it'd be bad if you got it and you're like, this thing is horrible. Why did you guys tell me I needed one?
Well, I've read the reviews, and from what I can see, it does look a lot like some of the bigger, like more expensive CNCs, just downscaled. So I think it's going to be okay. I looked at it's got a little heavier steppers than say like the Fox Alien. I've been looking at the Fox Alien compared to this machine because
Hmm.
those two are kind of the same realm. And so I'm actually because I was leaning towards buying a Fox Alien, and then this came up. But looking at everything, it says it has stronger steppers than the Fox Alien, and some other small upgrades that might be beneficial. So I'm looking forward to trying it out. Uh,
What do you
yes,
think?
I
You
think it's
think
going to
big
be.
things?
Well, I'm going to put it to you this way. Not that I know or anything, but if I did know, I would say that if you have an LM3 and you want to get into the 20-watt world, that would be a really good approach to take because you still keep the speed and agility of an LM3, but you get the power output of a 20-watt, which is a deadly combination when it comes to engraving and then cutting something out because the movement speed of an LM3, I still haven't found a machine that can compare to it. Even some of the new ones that are coming out now, they still do not move as fast as the LM3 during an engrave. Uh, but the downside to the LM3 has always been it was limited to 10 watts. But with that going up to 20 something, that's a whole new ball game. And I believe the spot size is still going to be pretty comparable to the 10 watt. So I don't think you're going to lose a whole lot of resolution on engraving.
Yeah, or Turk tends to take their time to try to do it right. I mean, they haven't been perfect. They still have their mistakes and whatnot, but I think they're one of those companies that doesn't necessarily rush things. And that's one thing, like you said, I was super impressed. When they said it was fast, you could see it was fast. I mean, it was a small head on the 10 watt. It was super lightweight, and it got up to speed quick. And that was the one thing. I mean, even when you got that Comgro 20 unit and put it on the Ortour, I was like, ooh, that's a big head on that machine to move around. And um, so yeah, I think the Ortour 20-watt head, I like you say, not that we know, but I think it'll be smaller, lighter, and still keep that performance that we expect out of the Ortour. So
Yeah, I think it's going to be significantly smaller than the Comgro 20-watt head, too. Another plus of the Otura machines, of course, is the ability to control your lights, to control the fan inside the enclosure, stuff like that.
mhm.
Those are kind of like, you know, it's kind of like heated and cooled seats. It's not something you got to have, but it is really cool. So,
Yeah, and as long as it doesn't get in the way of working it, we've all seen that where here's
yeah,
some cool safety features, but they're tripping accidentally and they're ruining things. So, it's
yeah,
nice when you have them and you can control them or turn them on and off, and you have to activate those, so you definitely can turn them on or off um,
yeah.
as features. So,
Uh,
um,
I say another. We may have. Did we click on the same one?
nope, nope. Uh, Luckily, right now it's about oh well, what is it right now? It's only about 70 degrees in the shop right now, although it is 60 some degrees humidity out here. And it did cool down from some rain, but we're up to about 70 outside. And It's dropped to 80% humidity. So people who don't say it's humid here in Minnesota,
Mm.
sorry, it is. Um, but yeah, there's been some days out here, even when I was assembling the fiber laser out here because I had more space. You know, funny how 75 degrees in the shop and 75 degrees in the house feel way different with the air conditioning and the humidity low.
Well, according to the thermostat over there, it's actually 78 in here, but it doesn't feel like it. It feels
Yeah,
really
well,
nice in here compared to outside.
yeah, being able to control that humidity helps a lot. So
Yeah.
I have looked into it. There's just there that would there are other house projects that my wife and I have talked about that should probably take precedence over me getting air conditioning out in the shop. So
All right, I'm gonna translate for you guys. She said he ain't getting it yet. That's what that means. I've had to say that before, but yeah. Hey, I understand completely. I had to. I gifted myself with a new lawnmower, which not that I wanted to buy a new lawnmower, but my other one had got to the point to where I just dreaded cutting grass because it was like going to the casino and pulling the lever because you never knew which part was going to break next. And so I finally just got angry and was like, you know what? I'm tired of dreading it because it is. It's like Russian roulette every time you crank the lawnmower up. What is the belt going to fly off? Is the blade going to fly off? Is the fuel going to shut down? So I went after a good 17 or 18 years of service. My Kubota has been replaced with a newer Kubota, but I went with the zero turn and whew, Lord, it's like cutting your grass on a recliner. But I didn't get the big like 78 inch. I got a residential. I don't have a need for that big of a lawnmower. I have a tractor with a 6 foot bush hog if I need to cut anything wide. Yeah, Brad, I've got to learn on something. This is going to be my training wheels model, and let's face it, real estate's at a premium here at the shack. So I think this is a good way of getting my toe in the water, learning it, making sure that it's not going to be something I just throw my hands up with before I go to heavily investing in it. So I think that'll be a good thing. The Acer. Correct me if I'm wrong, Steve, but you got to put it on the card, right? On the Acer.
Yeah, but I was just trying to look on their site to see
I don't
if they
think
even
they
list their firmware. I think you got to contact them for it.
yeah,
Um,
I don't think it's user mess withable. It's not user serviceable, I don't think.
so yeah, I would imagine there is a way for them to either use another application to connect to the Acer and push it, but I haven't seen any firmware updates for any of their machines to see that process. I know I've done it with ComGrow. Xtool has their software that they use to do it, and a few others, but I haven't seen anything from them as far as firmware changes. So, which can be a good thing, but
Yeah. Chris said he went with the Fox Alien. So yeah, I'll have to learn what all those bits are for there, Jack. I'm sure that's coming. I'm still studying.
so, Mark, as to what CO2 machine I have, the one that I bought 7 years ago, that was your kind of generic. Uh, at the time, they were compared to like the Red Sail company, but it's a Ruida controller on a. It was a 60-watt machine, and I'm using quotes because it was a 50-watt tube with a 60-watt power supply, and that's one of the areas where you get into the you don't want to run your laser at 100% because the manufacturers were doing things such as this, where they were claiming 60 watts of power, but they were overdriving the tube to do it. Since then, I've put in a true 60-watt tube, and I've put in an ammeter to be able to find that 82% power is kind of my 100% for that laser. So that's the CO2 I've had the longest. I do have a Monport K40 that's Lightburn compatible that I'm playing with, and I have some more stuff to come out with yet in the near future. And I've talked with them about possibly swapping out my 7-year-old 60 watt with something else, but I'm not sure that I want to do that right now for the things I'm doing. So I've also had experience with a few others. Best Cutter that my friend had, that it was basically a larger newer, fancier version of mine, and I haven't been able to get over to see it yet. But he's also got a newer one um, that it's Aeon, I think. No, not even Aeon. I'd have to go back and look. But so I've played with a number of them. A little bit of experience with the Glowforge, just helping a friend who bought one of those. But the most of my experience has been with that kind of that generic Ruida one that I bought off of eBay about 7.5, 8 years ago.
No, the lawnmower wasn't an accident. It just wore out, Chris. So, but the good news is I cut the grass today and nothing broke. So we're good. I always did that. Called a 5 watt. Oh, Chris is saying he thought only dog companies did that, calling a 5 watt a 20 watt.
Yeah, no, but I mean, this one was more true to the wattage, because the diode manufacturers, even today, you'll still see them say, "Oh, 160-watt laser, fine print with 30-watt output power."
Yeah,
That's a little more deceptive than this. You were getting 60 watts of output power, but your tube was going to last maybe 100 hours at that rating because you would burn it out really quick. Your CO2, these water cooled CO2 lasers, you should get a couple thousand hours, maybe up to 5,000 hours on a tube before you start seeing any degradation of it. So
yeah. Super Duty, you missed it. Steve now has a fiber laser, and you can go ahead and tell him it's a baby compared to yours because he's already said he's going to do that when I get my CNC. So feel free to call it a baby.
oh, I know what it is, but it's a good first step.
Hey, it's to me from what I've seen, 20 watts is kind of the threshold if you really want to etch, metals. It's kind of the threshold for being able to do it, like you said, effectively. I'm not saying you can't do it with other machines, but with effectiveness, I think that's going to be the best way to go.
Hmm. So the question is, he likes his D1 Pro. What do you think about the 40-watt from X Tool?
The D1 is the 20 watt still working, or is the Pro still working that you have? Uh,
Yeah, that would be. Is it a 10 or is it a 20-watt Pro that he's got?
yeah, I mean, because those are all things to consider. Because if you've got a working 20 watt and you're going to sacrifice it to make it a 40 watt, I'd probably just buy another
Well,
machine.
he's looking at a second machine, so I imagine it would be buying the. They've got their D1 Pro that isn't it a package deal where you get like the 5 watt and
Yeah,
the 40 or something like that.
yeah. They sell you the
I
5
I
watt
can't keep up.
Pro, and then they sell you the 40 watt module and everything to go with it. Which it's kind of like if
It
you're
looks like it's now a 40 plus a 10. You're going to pay right now 1,800 for it, but it's out of stock. Oh wait, the red one's out of stock. You can get the gray one. Um, so I don't have a lot of experience with the 40 watt from X-Tool. Um, I've played with my 20 watt. It's a very nice machine. I've played with a couple of 30 watts, and I've got this Acer L2 36 watt that needs to get some good run-in time on it as well. Those are all closer to, I think those 30-ish machines, they're probably running closer to 1,200 to 1,400 a piece, I think. So right off the bat, you might have some savings going to another brand, and I don't think you're going to notice a huge difference between X-Tool's 40 watt and the other's 30 to 36 watt machines. It will be different machine, which may be good or bad. Um, and with the 40 watt from X-Tool, you are getting a 10 watt head as a backup as well. So that's something to consider, but it also might be something that just sits there and never gets used. So I guess the other thing would be to ask is if you're using XCS solely, or if you've got Lightburn. If you're using XCS, well, these other machines you'd either have to use laser GRBL or you'd have to get Lightburn. So that might be something that you know plays into it as well. But um, I don't know. I think I think it's a nice machine, but I do think you pay a bit of a premium to get it from Xtool. It's kind of where I would say.
Yeah. Like I said, my 20 watt is still running. Uh, I used it at Peach Jam yesterday, and it ran most of the day and did fine. Uh, but you know, I have other machines to be honest that I like just as much. That that work just as well. So it's a matter of preference, I think. I mean, if you're comfortable with X Tool, you like X Tool, you've had good luck with them. I understand not swapping. But me and you both have got the Acer's and Whizmakers and Atom Stacks, and I mean, I so far I haven't had any problems with any of the Atom Stack stuff that I've got. I can't say that for every brand, but I haven't had any problems with the Atom Stack. So currently,
And
currently I'm running the A30 in the small enclosure right here because I just wanted the 30 watts of power, and this thing cuts like nobody's business. So
and Atom Stack has announced they have a 40-watt head coming out. I think within a month or so.
yeah,
They're taking pre-orders for it already, so I imagine it's in production. So that's another option from Atom Stack. Um, if you want a budget machine that has some nicer features plus a little larger working area, the longer series, like I mentioned, hopefully my video is going to be out tomorrow. Mine was the 20 watt. Steve Makes Everything did a good video on the 30 watt, and that one is a 450 by 440, and I did test to confirm that it did move around that whole area. So that's a pretty substantial working size in a 20 or 30 watt uh, uh, frame. Now, I don't know that they have any extensions for it yet. And the nice thing there is right now, I think the 20 watts selling for $799 and the 30 watt for $1,000. So it's a pretty good deal. That also has the automatic air in it and such. So there's some nice features with that. But yeah, if you're used to using XCS, you're going to have some software change with that type of machine as well. But
yeah. Uh, VT, I'm not sure what the software is called. It was on the top of my head. It's something two. Is it AutoCAD? No, it's not AutoCAD. Something CAD, I think. Two is what it comes with. I'm just going to use the software it comes with because I've been watching some videos and the software it comes with seems to be very similar to Lightburn in its the way it's laid out. So I think I'm going to try to learn on that, and then if something else comes along, I may try it later. But I can't remember. I tried looking it up, but I'm not seeing where it says for sure what software it came with. But anyway, I'll try to find it. But it's it's leaving my brain right now as far as what the software was called. Is it? Wait a minute. Cam. Okay. But see, I do have Fusion 360 that I can use. I didn't know I could use Fusion 360 to run that or build files for it. That's
yep,
cool. So I
yeah,
may.
you can design in there, and it has a CAM output, so it can create the code as long as it's got an encoder for your type of controller on your CNC.
yeah. Well, I have. Like I said, I've got Fusion 360, so that's really cool.
Yeah, it just needs to know what type of board is on your CNC so that it can write the G code appropriately to it. So you have to make sure that in the software it has the right encoder for that. So
Cool. Well, I'm looking at their website, and they actually tell you how to go about setting it up for Fusion 360. So
nice. Yeah, I would be shocked if they didn't, with it being a newer CNC machine and that being one of the more popular
yeah.
hobbyist applications out there for it.
Lightburn quick start guide. What? Oh, that's for lasers. They're
They do have a laser module for that, I think.
yeah. Yeah, I saw it. It's a little small round. Well, actually, it looked a lot like the what's that one on the Niji? It looked kind of like the Niji module. That's what I saw. But yeah, EasyCAD. That's it. That was what it said. I think EasyCAD 2 is what it comes with. But like I said, now that I can use Fusion.
Well, EasyCAD, no, EasyCAD 2 is for the fiber laser. That's not going to be for your CNC.
Oh, is it not?
Don't.
Okay.
I mean,
I don't remember. It was something too. Maybe I'm getting the two mixed up. I have been researching both. But anyway, I'll find out when it gets here. We'll figure out what software I'm supposed to be using. But now that I've learned that, I do have Fusion 360. If I can export to it, that'd be nice.
So Robert, Atom Stack, the A5, um, most of their frames are fairly identical in their series. There are some minor differences between them. So I believe in the A5 you can go up to the 20-watt module. However, you may also have to swap the controller with it to be able to support that. But the frames themselves are pretty much identical. Occasionally, you'll get a different rail on the sides and the top as you get into the 20 and the 40. But that's one thing Atom Stack is stuck with is their frames have been fairly consistent.
Not sure that question. I'm not sure. I'm picking up what they're putting down there.
How to end points? Um, are you so when you're editing them, you can move them, you can remove them.
You can delete it.
Yeah. Are you trying to? I guess yeah. I'd need a little more. Not quite sure what's being asked there.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was just me, but yeah, I don't know if there's endpoints in a line, like if you're making a line, how to make it end, or if it's not sure. There's actually a list of commands and things that you can do in Lightburn that is pretty neat. Oh, especially if you're just getting into designing files. Oh, I don't remember where I found this thing, but I've actually got a copy of it that I've downloaded, and you might want to search for that.
Well, if you're looking for the commands, if you just hover over the button of them, you can see all the commands you can do. So, like with edit nodes, you've got S for smooth, L for convert to line, C to convert to corner, I to insert, D to delete, things like that. So if you just hover over the icon on the toolbar over on the left side, it'll show you all the commands that you can do with the nodes there. So there's trim line, there's extend line, there's a line selected.
Join's not
They're
on
all the
there.
shortcuts there.
Join's not on there. Just saying.
Well, that's not part of the edit node command.
I've got a cheat sheet. I'm just going to keep putting my cheat sheet on the top screen so I can just glance up if I forget.
But yeah, in Lightburn, if you hover over any of the icons, it will give you a quick synopsis and any options with that. So hopefully that kind of helps out a little bit.
If you're trying to delete one, put your mouse over top of it, click it. When it turns red, hit the letter D on your keyboard and it'll go away. If you're trying to delete a segment of a line, hover over that segment of line and hit D, and it'll delete that segment, but it'll leave the points on either end intact. If you're trying to just take a piece out of it, like a break, make a break in a line. So,
Yeah, I think you got to hover right over the node that you want to delete, and then hit your D button or Control D, and then that should allow you to delete that node if that's what you're trying to do. If not, um, maybe make sure it's not grouped with something. Sometimes grouping can help, but
it'll turn red when you click on it. But yeah, make sure it's not grouped. But if you're seeing nodes, it shouldn't be grouped, because like if you don't ungroup it, usually it won't even let you see the nodes on my end, because I've driven myself crazy sometimes trying to get one to edit, and then I realize it's grouped with some little random shape or something. Yeah, you can drag a box around a bunch of them too, and be able to delete. You can delete multiple nodes at one time, or you can just select one at a time.
so
All right. Questions, comments,
yeah,
concerns? There we go.
Chris, I use Vectric as well. I got into it early on when it was a little bit cheaper, so kind of got used to it, and then did pay up when I needed the larger unlimited size version on my newest one. Um, yeah, cried a little bit on that purchase, but it's been nice. It's a forever license and very powerful. Like you say, it's the light burn of equivalent for CNC. So, but but it's not cheap.
Yeah. So I don't know if you can answer this one or not. I have never used XCS, so I, I I don't even know if it has a tool line or not. Sounds like he's putting a tool line in there and it's burning it. But I think it's I don't remember there being a tool line in X Tool software, but there may be now.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've only I used what was it? Laserbox was the first one that they had.
Yeah, I used it when it
Um,
first came out for like 2 weeks.
I used that quite a bit, but unfortunately, I haven't done a lot in XCS other than if I need to make a change in the firmware or the controller settings of the X tool. So, unfortunately, I don't have a good answer for that one. But
Yeah, me neither. Like I said, it would be just a shot in the dark if I even tried to say. Well, see you, big rigs there. Be careful. Stay safe out there. Next time you're in Steve's neck of the woods, just lay down on the horn when you pass by. Wake him up.
yeah, actually, he said he went through Owatonna, and that's where I do a lot of my RC flying at. So I'm very familiar with that. I'm only about 45 minutes west of there. So, but you have a good night. Stay safe in the morning.
Jim says you can set a layer to ignore. I guess that's kind of like turning off output on it. So that's probably what you need to do. If I were guessing, to keep it from burning that, I don't know where that's at. You can hook up with Jim. Maybe Jim can answer your questions. Like I said, XCS is not something I'm familiar with. So, but that sounds like that would work if you whatever that line is that you didn't want set it to ignore uh, that line, which would in essence make it a tool line. So,
Okay.
oh, see,
Got
look there.
well. Thanks for checking us out, and thanks for the feedback. I always appreciate it.
And guys, if
Um,
yeah, if you hadn't, don't hit the buttons. Don't forget.
yeah, do all the things as they say. Um, RW Customs is asking something about tracing here. So it has two lines after trace. Can't figure out how to delete one of the lines. It's not grouped, but you click on it and highlights both the lines. Um,
It's grouped.
usually it's either grouped or it's one object, and you might need to find a node to delete. So you might need to go into node editing and see if it's joined. Like keep it highlighted, but switch into your node or click on your node edit and highlight it and see if it shows you extra nodes that are there that maybe you can't see, and then that might be able to get rid of the lines. I end up doing a lot of that, tweaking with node edit after doing a trace because it's never it's,
Yeah,
it's never exact where you want.
yeah.
So
And it'll pick up some random shape, and then next thing you know, it's in your burn if you don't catch it.
hmm and Mike, if you're looking for Lightburn for any of the Xtool uh, D1s, D1 Pros, you're looking for the G code version. So that should be I think it's $60 now for the initial license. And so that's all you need for that one, unless you're getting into a Ruida. Then you got to get their. Oh, I was just looking at this the other day. That would be the that's the next step up. And I'm drawing a blank on the name of the controller. And then they have the more expensive add-on for Galvo lasers. So, and then that is a perpetual license. I see there's always confusion about this because you're going to get reminded after a year. Hey, do you want to renew your license? And that is if you want to renew support for it. You continue to use Lightburn under the current version you have indefinitely at that point. You don't need to pay up at that point. It's just if you want to be able to continue to update it after that. And then I think it's like $30 a year. So I see that quite often in forums. People get confused by that. But um, just grab that G code version for any of those and you'll be good to go.
Yeah, and you could also download the trial and try it for was it 90 days, to make sure that
I think it's a 30-day trial, but they'll extend it if you're having some issues and want to
yeah,
work them out. But yeah,
yeah. The trial's not a bad idea. I mean, especially if you have your doubts that it's something that you want, it's not a bad idea.
hmm
Oh, somebody asked a question a while ago about something. Oh, R&W said it's double burns. So it could be there's
So
two lines that are connected somewhere, and you just
the other
are
thing you
missing
can
it.
the other thing you can do is you can where is it? If you go into your edit menu, I believe there is delete duplicates. And so if you have two lines that are right over the top of each other, do that. It's just Alt D. It'll look through your file, and if there are two exact same lines over the top, it'll search for them and it should delete them. And that's a good way to clean up any files. I see this a lot when you have someone that exports it from another application and imports it. Sometimes it'll have double lines, and you'll see that it goes over the same area twice. So that's another thing to try is just the delete duplicates option if it's the exact same top and bottom.
I don't think it would be the case, but if he traced it out, typically it should allow you to edit the nodes and everything without any problems. But if you have any issues, see if it'll let you convert it to a path. And for whatever reason, maybe it's like some type of other type of graphic, and it's not letting you edit it or change it or whatever. I don't think that's the case, but sometimes when I'm trying to do node editing, I will have to convert certain shapes to a path in order to be able to do what I want to with them. So I don't think that's the problem, but you never know. Let's see. Yep. My votes, yeah.
As far as the hobby grade lasers, yeah, it's the best software you're going to get. Even into some of the light industrial machines. If you get into like Epilogue and some of those others, they're going to have a little more proprietary software. Lightburn's not even going to necessarily be an option for them. But as far as something that's really an industry standard that is going to be more understood by people that have any kind of laser, um, it's great. And honestly, I mean, especially compared to like CNC control software and things like that, it is a pretty good deal. It's $60 a one-time buy-in, and then only $30 a year if you want to update it. I find it's pretty good, pretty worth it. So
R&W, if you want to email me that file, I'll look at it and see if I can see what you're talking about and see if I can figure it out. If I can, we can throw it up on the screen and show you and show everybody else if that's something you want to do. Uh, so let me know if that's something you're interested in doing there. We might can figure out what's going on with it if we do that. Uh, da, da, da. Yeah, Jim, you can. Lightburn will go on at like I said, two computers, but you can also run multiple machines with a computer on Lightburn. It's not one of those because I don't think XCS will let you run but one machine at a time. So, like, if you're planning on running multiple machines like I do, then you're going to want to definitely look at getting something like Lightburn that will allow you to have multiple instances running at one time.
and if you ask them nicely, they'll give you a third device on your license for free.
Yeah, I haven't tried that yet.
Yeah, I actually reached out to them because I have my office computer that I often will sit and work at, and then I had my laser out here that I had a machine dedicated to for so many years that I had was running in Lightburn. But when I started messing with the diodes down in the basement shop, I was like, I was like, how do I manage this? So I actually emailed them saying, hey, is there any way I can, just pay for an additional machine on my existing license? And they're like, don't worry about it. We'll just add one to you. And turned out that's pretty common. Like Jack's saying, he's got 3 installs. They're pretty comfortable with that. Now the caveat is they'll let you deactivate it, but they put a limit on that. It's something like 15 deactivations before they're going to ask you what are you doing. So they don't want to see too many in a row because then they'll think you're kind of sharing it and deactivating it around. But
Yeah.
they're a pretty good company to work with. So, and I just paid them another $90 to upgrade my version to support Galvo.
Yeah, I'm waiting on that machine to show up before I pull the trigger on that, but I know I'm going to end up doing it because
No.
I just if I can do it in Lightburn, a tool that I already know a lot of the ins and outs about, uh, that's the way I'd like to go with it. So.
Um, yeah, Everett. As far as is there a better option than diodes? It really depends on what you're wanting to do. If you're needing to do a lot of engraving on glass or clear acrylic, things like that, then CO2 is definitely a way to go. If you do a lot of work with metal, then you might want to look at a fiber. But as far as a hobbyist or kind of a small business use case where you're doing a lot of natural materials, woods, leather, certain plastics, and the fact that the diode power has come up quite a bit, it's actually a fairly reasonable and easier way to get into it. There's less maintenance with them than CO2s. There's just less alignment, less things that can go wrong with them. They are, you do give up some power that you can get in larger CO2s, but when you're talking about 30, 40 watt diodes, they're getting into there to the low end CO2 territory as well. So uh, now there's a lot of options among diode lasers that you can compare and contrast. But I think it's the kind of thing of you'll know when you need a different tool when you kind of get to that point of I'm doing a lot of clear acrylic and this diode literally isn't cutting it. Then you need it. But
Jim, according to X Tool, and I'm assuming they're saying this works because they have a device configuration file for it. Uh, According to their website right here, it's saying that the F1 will work with Lightburn, but like I said, I can't confirm that. I'm going by what's on their website, and they are showing like instructions on like adding the machine to Lightburn and all that. So your guess is as good as mine if it actually works. The P2 is supposed to work with it too.
yeah, I saw an interesting comment on that. Someone had reached out to Lightburn to ask more about that, and they said, "Yeah, we have two of them in shop, and we're working on it. But we've got a lot of irons in the fire right now, and but hopefully look for something in like 1.4.2 or something like that." But I, I I'm of the mind I wouldn't hold my breath on getting all the features of the P2 to work with Lightburn.
Chris, you mean y'all were getting on to me about being Jackie Chan and it was latency on some Bluetooth headphones on your end the whole time? Oh, killing me. Yeah, Chris. A lot of Bluetooth does that, especially with YouTube. I have found that because sometimes I listen to YouTube videos while I'm driving, and if you ever look over and see the screen, you'll see that there's a couple of second delay most of the time. So glad you got it worked out though. Well, we don't like push it, Mike. We do ask that if you have not, like, follow, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff. But usually we're trying to put you guys' comments and questions up on the screen and trying to answer y'all's questions instead of just push for the subscribe. We do appreciate it. It does help our channels. It does make things a little easier when it comes to getting into some of these new machines that are coming out and so forth. So if you haven't, then by all means, please do. We do, however, from time to time, throw up the links to the different groups and stuff like that. And this is our laser engraver community page that most everybody in here is a member of. A lot of the, especially a lot of the old timers that's been with us for a while, Chris and Brian and a bunch of the other guys. I think Mark. I think Mark is in there. Most everybody. So if you haven't, you might want to go check that out. It's a pretty good resource. A lot of these guys in here know as much or more about these lasers than me and Steve do, so they can help answer your questions. But yeah, there's your banner if you want one. But yeah, we just try not to push that, guys. I don't want it to be too busy. I don't want it to look like a newscast from CNN where they got like stuff everywhere. You know how it is. You try to watch the news,
It's a
you
little
can't
scroll
see it.
bar. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, we do appreciate that if y'all hadn't. Well, Chris, just try not to look at the screen, and you won't know if I'm Jackie Chan or not.
Yes, just pretend it's a podcast. So
Well, I actually do have mine set to split to a podcast, so you know you can watch it whenever. All right, questions, comments, concerns, guys. Brian, would you like to get Steve to model his beard for you or something while we're waiting?
I think Brian said he had to bounce his brother-in-law's in town, so he was going to
Uh,
watch the replay later.
oh, I missed that. My bad.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mike. Uh, yeah, I try to introduce people to Steve. And Steve does the same thing. We work together on a lot of projects, guys, and I use Steve as kind of my fact check guy because if we both get the same machine and we both have the same problem, then there's a very good chance that that's an inherent problem with a machine. Sometimes we get the same machine and I may have a problem and Steve doesn't, which lets us know that it could just be a random fluke. So comparing notes with other people to me helps validate my theories on things, and it's helpful too when one of us messes up a machine. We can always go, hey, send me a working copy of that, because I done messed mine up or something like that. Because I've done that before with Steve, and we had the what was it, the Acer P1 or no, the ASMR P1, where I actually got mine first, found an issue, and went ahead and sent Steve the cure for it, and he had it in hand. And I even got an email today. We had a guy that purchased one of those machines, and he said as soon as he hooked it up, it did exactly what we told him it was going to do. But he had already downloaded the file, had it on hand, put the file in there, got it going, and he said he had done 3 or 4 projects and it was running really good, and he was happy with the machine. But that's something that the people that get those machines and don't know that are really not gonna they're really not gonna be happy. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, uh, I appreciate working with a number of other content creators at times. Just most recently, even with the longer, Steve Makes Everything and I got in touch with each other because we were both kind of testing this machine that just come out and having similar issues. And so I don't see it at all as a competition. I'm not here to compete with anybody. I want everybody to have good content and be able to push people to other areas where there's better content that I've got. So um, it's great to see that support. Especially obviously amongst Clack and I, but with others as well. So
yeah, I've worked with Steve on not the other Steve. Steve does everything. I've worked with him too. I know what's causing his problem right here. Would you like to break it down and like flex your science skills on this one?
uh, so this happens a lot when um, if you haven't homed your machine correctly. Um, it will and you try to run a file that it doesn't know where it's at, it might throw up the alert that it might be out of bounds. Otherwise, if you have a design that comes too close to your boundaries and the head gets either too close to your limit switches or actually runs into the edges, it will actually error out and cause that. So I would double check your origin, make sure that you're starting where it's supposed to be. If you're set in absolute coordinates and you're not homing it first, that can throw it off. um, so otherwise, make sure like I said, make sure your design isn't out of bounds. The other thing is you can have stray objects, like if you've imported a file, there can be a stray object outside your cut area that's outside your working area that you need to go look for as well. So
My
anything I
guess,
missed?
my guess is that whatever design that Steven is trying to do is really close to the edge of the work area, and either the 16 millimeter offset from that crosshair is probably happening on the left side of the machine, if I was guessing, because that's where the laser head actually has to go 16 millimeters past the frame in order for it to work. And if it's not just that 16 millimeter offset causing the problem, then Chris nailed it on the other one. It's that with the over travel, overscan of the machine, once it calculates the burn, it's realizing that in order to do the 2.5% overscan, it's going to have it go beyond the available space near the edge of the machine. So the options are, if the design is like to the left, then you could always just try to operate in the center of your machine to avoid that. But if it's a big design, you're and it's being caused by overscan, your option is going to be to run multiple passes and cut the power to try to reduce the overscan. Or if it's the 16 millimeters, you just need to remember that, or either change the machine to use a laser as a pointer and turn that offset on so that it frames right. So yeah, it's there's several things, but yeah, your two is definitely one of them. The little artifacts, like those little dots in the workspace, will drive you nuts if you don't if you overlook one and leave one in there. But but yeah, it's gonna be one of those three things, in my opinion. Mark, you can set the offset, but you can't really set up and down. It's just going to be the left and right, which is 16 millimeters supposed to. You could put it like 15.5 if you wanted to. My recommendation: use the laser dot. It doesn't need calibrating because it's gonna you're gonna know exactly where that laser is gonna be shining when you frame. So. Da-da-da.
It's another reason to turn off the crosshairs and just use the laser for framing.
Yep.
So, um, Mark, on your when you say the X tool doesn't cut exact sizes, how far off is it? Um, because you got to take account for the kerf, which is going to be just slightly off. If it's way off, then there's something to take a look at as far as making sure it's in calibration and such.
Hello, Tammy. How are you? Klein's in the house. He was with me yesterday at Pete's Jam. Part of the day. Somebody was late. He showed up after I got everything set up. Mm-hmm. I told him I'm gonna cut his pay.
Uh, Sorry, I was reading one and now where did it go? Mark, on the crosshair calibration, are you is this within Lightburn or XCS? Because within Lightburn, you actually have to set up the offset, so you can adjust that a little bit. But I'm not sure in XCS. I think you can also change that, but like I said, that's one of those softwares I just haven't used enough recently. But if you're using Lightburn, that's just that offset that you need to set up to tell it which way what the offset is from it. So
Yeah, I think John. I'm pretty sure. Steve, haven't you done a video on overscan, like a really detailed video of how that works, or have you?
no, I touch on it in a few areas, but so overscanning, basically what it's doing is you give it a certain percentage beyond the object. And the idea is that's to give it the deceleration and acceleration time so that when it hits the object and it's going to burn, it's up to speed, which gives the laser a better opportunity to have a consistent burn across that area. So this is only a feature that's in your fill mode of light burn for doing engravings. Um, and so you can play with that if you're getting kind of fuzzy edges or little darkening of edges. You can try increasing your overscan. Lightburn automatically tries to adjust the power settings to the speed to negate that effect, but overscan can give it just that extra um, buffer to where it doesn't have to slow down so much when it hits the edge of your object. It can slow down after it, stop, turn around, and come up to speed. So that's the one thing to try to check and do some playing with overburn or overscan. Typically, it's by default is 2.5, but if you have a really fast laser, you might need to actually increase that a bit. Um, but it was more of an issue when it used to not do so much of the automatic adjustment. But
I saw a question Tammy was asking. What machine are we talking about? Would be my first question, of course. I'm guessing by the fact that it has crosshairs, it's either going to be an X tool or one of the new Eights.
eights are IKEA, they both have the crosshairs on them. But yeah, it can be a software setting. Um, does it actually move through the motions like it's trying to fire?
It says a, it
And it doesn't.
says a 10-watt Pro. While we're waiting, John's wanting to know about any issues running it without the shield. I don't have very many machines in my shop that actually still have a shield on them. So,
Now the shield is strictly there for a layer of protection. So if you, like you say, you've got an enclosure and you're using your glasses and you feel safe with that, it actually is probably going to run better without it. It's just strictly there to provide a layer of protection for your eyes.
yep.
So as long as you're conscious of that and you're taking ways to protect yourself from any reflections, then it's fine to use it without it.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be safe with it, but it is a lot easier to run. It's a lot easier to frame with. It's a lot easier to clean. I mean, there's a lot of there's a lot of things that get easier without that shield in the way, but you do have to make extra considerations for safety, though. Uh,
So, so Tammy says it's a X-Tool D1 Pro. It frames but no laser, and she's using XCS.
could be the wire going to the module itself, maybe not properly seated or pulled loose, broke.
Yeah, that would be the first thing. If it's going through the motions of trying to cut, so after you frame, if it's going through and trying to, and cut or engrave, but the laser's not firing at all, then I would start looking at the mechanical connections of the wires. Make sure there's not a pin that's loose or that a cable that's broken. That would be typically what it is.
And you may want to make sure your lens isn't cracked, because if that lens is busted good enough, it, are you seeing any light coming out of it at all? Like looks like somebody's shining a blue flashlight on the wood, but it could be a physical malfunction. I don't think so. I think it's gonna be wiring, but you never know. Yeah, Chris, I wish the crosshairs shared the same point of origin as the laser dot itself. The crosshairs, if they're accurate, they can be handy for like squaring your pieces up. But I've got all my machines except for the X tools because it just gets confusing. I've got them all set up to use the blue dot instead of any other method. Somebody had asked about removing the shield if it created an issue with focus, and that is going to depend on the mode in which your machine is focused. I don't remember who said it. I saw it somewhere. But But yeah, if you have,
Yeah, the only, I mean,
go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say, there are a few lasers that their default focus tool is either on that shield or it references the shield. Then you're gonna have to take that into account and make a new spacer block or whatever to account for that. But it shouldn't physically change the focus of your laser beam in any way. So
Uh, oh, hello, John. Jonah. I'm not sure exactly. Let's see. I'm terrible with names, Jonah. You're gonna have to remind me. I met a lot of people yesterday, so I think I know who it is, but I'm not going to say for sure till I'm absolutely sure. The yellow plastic through this pop up tent cover. Mike, I have mixed. I have mixed emotions about the covers of the zip up enclosures. They claim they work. They still selling them, so maybe,
I,
but still wear glasses just as a precaution.
yeah, I don't. I've got a low power blue laser that's just a few nanometer wavelength off of our diodes, and I tested a few of those covers with that thing, and that light was shining right through it, and that's just one of those pen style type things. So, um, yeah, no, I don't trust those at all. Um, they're just not enough. They're not enough protection. Even the JTech Photonics glass that you can buy that's rated, it's properly rated, but it's only got an optical density of, I think, rating of 3, and really you want 4 plus to truly protect from these. So the free mascot glasses that both Clack and I use and promote as a good option, those are 6 plus. They're rated. They say right on the lenses that they're rated for a wide variety of the wavelengths. Um, those are what I trust.
And they make you look cool.
So, well,
You look.
okay.
It looks like you're going to tryouts for the next DC movie, but
So,
they work.
yeah, I don't, and in some of them, yeah, when I can shine a little pen style blue light laser through them and it still comes through them, then it kind of tells me um, they're not protecting much from the others.
Yeah, those glasses, the free mascot OD6s are $26.99 on Amazon, and that's cheaper than what most people pay for sunglasses. So, in my opinion, it's worth it. Because you never know uh, what could happen, and I try to wear mine as much as I can. So that's the glasses that we wear right there. If you're interested. But yeah, Jonah.
Yours,
Yeah, there was a lot of folks up there yesterday with products, and I'm gonna try to do a video of the Peach Jam festivities and everything, guys. But like I said, I had left a SD card at home, so I had to start playing musical SD cards, and it got all messed up. And I'm trying to salvage video right now, so we'll see how that goes. My chat just went crazy. I've lost my comments.
yeah. So Tammy says that her modules never work. She's waiting for customer service. Check the wires. Unfortunately, um, yeah, I don't know that there's much else we can try at this side.
Yeah. Oh, there it goes.
Um, so there's a couple things you got to look out for when using a CO2 laser in either high temperatures or really cold temperatures. Um, you got to make sure your water is maintaining a good temperature. Now, generally, that's going to be around 20 degrees Celsius and or mid 60s, you know, Fahrenheit. But then you also need to worry about then the temperature differential between that water running through the tube and your ambient air, because that can then cause condensation around the tube. Condensation and high voltage electronics do not mix well. that's where you run into issues. So if you're keeping your water temperature okay and you don't have necessarily high humidity, or you can kind of keep your air temperature moderated a bit, no. But the other thing you got to worry about is you working in a 90 to 100 degree temperature area, you're going to overheat yourself. So um, between you and the machine, yeah, I would look at trying to get some air moving through there as best you can. But your biggest concern there is keeping the tube cooled and not getting condensation developing on it. So
John, I dropped a link in there for Amazon, but they're free mascots. The name of them. Steve has a little bit different variety than I have because he has prescription glasses that he wears under them. But they do sell, just the standard glasses like this, as well as the bigger ones that allow you to wear prescription glasses as well.
yeah, the link that I just put in there is to the kind that I wear the same brand, just a different frame and style, and they do fit over my prescription glasses pretty well. So,
Yeah. But yeah, I got it.
but
Go ahead.
mind you that these do not work with. They don't protect you from a CO2 laser. So if you're using those, you actually need to get a different set of glasses than these. So
Yeah, I've got a set of CO2 glasses, and they look ridiculous. Just throwing it out there. Let me get them.
just wait till you get the set that comes with this IR one. But
Man, I gotta get this. I've got a pinched nerve in my lower back that is driving me nuts. I've been on my feet all day yesterday.
so,
Didn't help.
so no, I don't believe either of us have the IR head for the X tool. And that was one of those things where between the performance and the cost, um, neither of us had a justification to purchase it, and we weren't offered it from X tool to just test out either. So do not have any experience with it personally. Um, my my frustration with it is a low power. It's a 2 watt head versus, like we were mentioning earlier, getting into like a 20 on up watt fiber laser is really kind of where we wanted to start. So
Yeah. These are the CO2 glasses that I got when I got the CO2. Now these are actually an improvement from what come with the other machine, but yeah, these definitely are not good looking glasses. These are 9,000 to 11,000 nanometers. LB3. I don't know what that means. They're OD6 plus. So, yeah. But these are for the CO2 wavelength. I don't know if that would these work with the fiber as well. I don't remember what the range is on the fiber.
no, the fiber actually your others should work well because that's 1,050 some, I believe.
Well, no, these are 9,000 to 11. So yeah, that's way on up there. Yeah, maybe I can wear my mascots. I like those better anyway. Do do.
It's not the one.
Well, Jim, I don't think you can run it with the door open unless you bypass something on the P2. Most of the CO2s you can't, but it's not a bad idea just in case something gets out because it doesn't take but a second to really mess up your day. But now, me or Steve, either one got the 1064. So,
So um, I do have a set that are rated for CO2. However, your typical safety glasses that are made from what plexiglass, that's actually a pretty good insulator from it as well. So if you don't have anything else, that is a layer of protection against the CO2 wavelength.
yeah, because you got to remember, you can cut clear with a CO2. So obviously, it's stopping it or trying to. But yeah, I thought the P2 would had a lock on it, but I mean, in the event of a lock failure, it wouldn't be a bad idea to have glasses just in case. Yeah, R&W saying they bought the IR module to do brass pieces for guitars. You were playing with some brass today, weren't you?
Yep. Yeah, some old hobby brass that's been sitting around, and
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get me some metal. I've got some stainless from, they send you a lot of times. They'll send you those little pieces of stainless with the machines. But I'm gonna have to play around with some other materials.
well, they did send a nice little goodie bag full of materials to get started with. My initial tests were done with slate tile because you can erase that with sandpaper. Um, yeah, I've got some aluminum stock. I've got some brass stock. I got a friend who gave me some random steel and aluminum. I ordered some brass coin stuff, so I'll be doing a lot of playing with it.
Well, once you get it mastered, you can teach me how to run it.
Yeah.
Because it'll be at least probably another week before mine shows up. Because you didn't even know yours was coming. Like, so I don't
No,
know.
I never got a confirmation or a tracking number. Like I said, I had I had the UPS alerts that I had two packages coming from Amazon, and I knew what one was. I figured my wife had ordered something else, and so when the UPS guy came, he actually wanted a signature, and I looked out there, and it was this big box sitting out there. I'm like, "What did you order?" And it was mine. So,
Yeah. Well, I did get a notification today from the Sane Smart. They sent me the tracking numbers, so that was good. And then they sent me the tracking numbers today. I clicked the tracking number and it says it's going to be here tomorrow. So that was quick. Yeah.
yeah.
That was quick. So comments,
Hello,
guys.
Gretch.
There you go.
Thanks for joining us on this. Well, now we're past the longest day of the year, so now I can start lamenting the loss of sunlight every day and our crawl towards winter.
Yeah, and we just passed the best day of the year too. So I mean, you know what day that was, don't you?
Um, you, you, what?
The best day of the year, man. That's my birthday.
Oh, wow, that's just
Yeah,
another day of the year for me.
yeah. I'm officially 36 now.
Yeah, okay.
I've made it to 36 after all these years of working towards it. Uh, but now I had my anniversary with my wife on the 20th. We officially have been married 27 years. Of course, we dated 4 years prior to that. So we've been married for a long time. Uh,
Wait, you've been married 27 years,
19, what is it?
and you're
19.
36.
Well, spiritually, I'm 36, but yeah.
Uh
So
huh.
so it's well. Let me see. I may have did the math wrong. Hang on a minute. Let me make sure I'm right. See, no,
You
I
sure you don't need to
I'm
add
terrible
about
at math.
20 to?
I'm terrible at math. But anyway, they had our anniversary on the 20th, and then of course the 22nd was my birthday. I gifted myself a lawnmower, and then we had the peach jam 2 days later. So it's been like bam, 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 and been busy. So yesterday was brutal. Brandy, bless her heart, she worked herself to death, uh, trying to trying to keep up with everything. But yeah, no, not really, John. I was 20, 17. How old was I?
Well,
97.
apparently you were 9.
97. I got married in 97. We dated for Heck, I have to look back and see. To be honest with you, I don't remember how old I was. I was 17 when we started dating, and she was 16. And we dated for 2 years, got engaged, dated 2 more years, and got married. So
So you were 21 when you got married?
probably about there. Well, I would have
Okay.
turned. I probably would have turned 21 2 days after I got married because my birthday's like 2 days after. I'd have to look at a calendar. You know I don't do numbers. You're just trying to mess with me.
I'm
But
just trying to help you figure out how old you are.
I'm getting closer to 50, guys. All right, I'm
Do we need
48.
to do it
I
in
am
metric? Would,
48. All right.
would it help to do it in metric years?
Yeah. I'm 48, but spiritually I'm much younger. Like I feel much younger most days, as long as this hip will quit messing with me. Right now I feel like I'm 100 with this hip messing around. But yeah, and also one more big milestone is coincidentally last year on June the 22nd was when I hit my eligibility status on YouTube. Was 1 year ago. Exactly
Hmm.
on June 22nd. It's my 47th birthday when I got my eligibility notice from YouTube. For so that means it's 1 year in the making. So well,
And
Victor.
now you're a YouTube millionaire.
Oh no, no. I did manage to save up enough to buy air conditioning.
Just, just dig that
Hey,
in a little bit. Why
you
don't you?
you started it, dude. You started it. You're gonna be getting air. I predict you'll be getting air conditioning sometime this summer because you're gonna get so.
Yeah, I'll be getting air conditioning probably about October and March when that first snowstorm comes in.
Well, you've. Oh, yeah, that's true. Because September you'll start dropping back down below zero, won't you?
I hope not. Well, they're talking El Nino this year, so it might be light. So who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyhow,
Uh,
but boy, we derailed there.
what's that?
Just we took a tangent down. You marrying at the tender age of 9.
Yeah. Well, I didn't think about telling on myself. I was trying to pull that whole 36 years old thing off, but it didn't work. I don't think nobody was buying it. No way. But thanks, Miss Sharon. Uh, Chris, that's kind of what I did. I figured if I got married like right around my anniversary, or if I got right around my birthday, it would help me remember it. And so far, it's worked. How old is Steve? Oh, 26. It's 26 years, guys. My bad, not 27. I thought it wasn't 27, but you know I don't do math. All right, I don't do math. Uh, but well, Steve, audience wants to know.
How old am I? Now you're gonna make me do math.
I didn't. I'm not making you do it.
Uh, so I will be 45 in January.
Uh huh. Youngster.
Youngster. Yeah. Well, so here's and you and Brandy are pretty close in age. It sounds like. Um, Carl and I are actually only 4 months apart. We went to high school together. Um, but I have on multiple times now either been asked or have been insinuated that she is my daughter.
It's that.
So
It's that
apparently,
beard.
I can. It's apparent. Apparently, I look a lot older than I am, and she probably looks a lot younger than she is too. But
Yeah.
I don't know. That kind of. I'm not sure to whether take that as a compliment or a dig or what. But
Well, let's just be thankful that nobody's reporting you to the wildlife conservation folks up there thinking they saw Sasquatch when you're out there shoveling snow.
yeah,
Yeah, Brandy is a year, well, almost a year and a half younger than me, because her birthday's actually on the same day as Jesus. So her birthday's in December, mine is in June. So I've got her by like a year and a half, but she's quickly catching up. It won't take her long. 25. Chris said he can almost remember when he was 25. All right. I haven't used any of this stuff. I thought it was a comment up there. We're finally getting some questions. See, guys, if you don't ask questions, this is what you get: a bunch of rambling from two old dudes.
Yeah, at least solidly middle aged. Um, I have used AI art that other people have created, but I haven't done it myself. But it is an interesting thing to play with, and of course, various artists and other people will question its validity of being original art because it's all inspired by other things it can find and such. But you know, it is interesting. It is kind of fun to play with. But like any other art, it uh, takes a bit to kind of get your process for doing that basically photorealistic engraving. Um, and sometimes you got to play with each medium as well. Your settings for tile versus or slate versus white tile versus wood are going to be slightly different. But it is a fun thing to play with.
But yeah. Now, somebody's saying Sasquatch joke with no audio. I don't know.
What noise? I mean, no one's ever. We only have photographs of Sasquatch, so we don't know what they sound like, right?
Yeah. I don't. I didn't know if he was saying that I didn't have any audio or what. But if I didn't have audio, how did you know I made a Sasquatch joke?
It's just like a tree falling in the woods and no one to hear it kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, Mark, we're not considered old in certain audiences. Age is a matter of perspective, I guess you could say. Uh, my children consider me to be old. Most of the guys I work with consider me to be old. So, oh, he said no sound effects. Okay. Yeah, I didn't give myself a roll, drum roll. That's what he's talking about. Well, I was trying to take it easy on Steve. Y'all know how Steve feels about that.
So we got a couple questions here asking about working with JPEGs and bitmaps, and also image editing in Lightburn versus other software. Um,
Throw it up.
what's your take? I mean, those kind of go a little hand in hand. As far as settings, I tend to focus on Jarvis or Stucky for the processing mode within Lightburn.
Mm-hmm.
And then depending on the laser, I usually try to have my DPI or LPI somewhere around 270 to 300. But from there, it's going to be your power and speed is going to be dependent kind of on your material. But those are kind of my ballpark settings to get it right. The other things that depending on the material, you might actually want to change your scan angle. That can help it eliminate if you're getting like what's called banding. You'll see kind of lines starting to appear that aren't wood grain. Sometimes changing your scan angle can help with that as well. So try it at 45 or 90 degrees. But
Yeah.
but yeah, as far as using the image editing software, I play around with the free version of Imgur, but online. But generally, I default to Lightburn for doing most of my stuff. So
Yeah, I do. I do use Adobe to like remove backgrounds and go in and do some, especially if it's a picture that I've taken with one of my cameras or a drone or something that has enough potential that editing software can do things to it, uh, short of just modifying the contrast. I'll go in and remove the background or whatever I need to do with it. Adobe. Sometimes I'll change the contrast and to try to give it, because you can change shadowing and stuff. Like you can remove shadows in Photoshop. So if you've got a shadow on an image and you don't remove that, when you burn it, you're going to have a dark spot in the burn. So with Adobe Photoshop, you can actually go in and adjust the shadows and stuff like that. And so I do most of that by hand. I know a lot of people use Imager, but because of the other suite that I buy for my photography and editing stuff, I have access to Photoshop, so I just use it because I have it already. But Photoshop gives you a lot more capabilities, and you can also add text and designs and use a lot of the Adobe stock stuff. If you're creating silhouettes or whatever, a lot of times you can find a shape that you need to put in there. So it's not as robust
and
as
if
AI, but it works.
and if you don't have access to Adobe because it is kind of expensive for just the occasional use. GIMP is a good software to use that is uh, similar to that, and it's free. So, uh, glass used in enclosures. That's from the place that I find it is from JTech Photonics. I'll see if I can pull up a link for it, and they sell it in a few different sizes. Um, Safety gear. So they have 12 by 12, 12 by 24, 24 by 24. I usually get the 24 by 12, and then you can make various windows from there. You got to remember, you don't need the whole thing visible, just enough so you can tell what's going on in there. And I'll drop the link in there. Um, your shipping is going to vary on that. So that's kind of the downfall. It is $34 for the sheet, and then sometimes $12 to $20 for shipping. So, you know, it might pay to buy two at a time if you think you're going to be building more or whatnot. But that's that OD3 laser rated safety acrylic that I've used in most of my stuff.
That's the same stuff I use. I can't tell you that the shipping's basically the same on 4 sheets as it is 1. Because the last time I ordered 4 sheets just to avoid having to pay shipping in the future because I built so many enclosures. Do. Yeah, Chris, technically, aren't you like, technically, Chris is like seeing the future. So
Well,
he's like a time traveler.
he's living in the future, but he's seeing the past, right? Is that how it is?
Yeah, he's a time
Yeah.
traveler. Chris is a time traveler because he is looking back in time right now and watching us, watching something that happened 12 hours ago where he is. So we got our own time traveler in the group. All right, guys. Comments, concerns, questions. If you hadn't already, like, follow, subscribe. Wait a minute. Let me throw my banner up there. People say I need to use banners. Use banners. There we go. Oh, there you go. But do all that cool stuff. It does help, and let's all like, I don't know, rally around Steve and get him to hurry up and make some videos with this new fiber laser so that he can show me how to use it and find out what the pitfalls of it are going to be. That's what I'm waiting on.
Well, I'm still playing catch up from running off to the Black Hills and having a few work things to deal with when I got back. But yeah, I've got my longer video coming out. I've got some project videos. I still need to work with this Acer L2 as well. So got some things I'll be trying to hustle this week. So
Yep.
there's a question for you. Acer P20, do you think the extension's worth it?
I mean, if you need an extension, yeah. I mean, if you don't need an extension, then it wouldn't be. But if you plan on doing anything bigger than the 430 by 430, then absolutely. I bought mine, and I really, really like it. I mean, it does a good job, and that machine, adding the capabilities to that machine for the low price of like $159, the capabilities that it gives you if you have the space to house it, that's a bargain. Well, you remember all the little name things that I cut back during graduation. I mean, I sold, $25 a pop. I think I sold like 20 or 30 of those things. Just that job there more than paid for the extension that I bought. So yes,
Yeah, I
it's a
was gonna
good buy.
say you put that to work right away and made your money back with that right away. Doing those graduation things. So it definitely is one of those. I mean, even with the CNC machine, I had the smaller sized Onefinity that was bigger than other machines I thought. And I think, hey, this is plenty of size. I'll never need any bigger. And then they came out with the extended rail and they offered an upgrade for existing users. So it was really tempting. But I still haven't used it very often. But there's probably 2 times out of 50 where I go, here's where I could have used it. And now I do have that available to me. So it's you're gonna find those times when you want it. It's whether you can work around it or not. So
All right, John. I think the name is mislabeled. They shouldn't have called it air purifier. They should have just called it what it is, an air filter. Uh, it does take the edge off of the smoke. It does not get completely rid of the smoke. I use the one that I've got at events. Now, if you have nothing and you're doing it in, let's say, your garage, and you've got a fan blowing that's blowing fresh air through there, it would help. It would definitely make it a lot more tolerable than if you didn't have it. But it is not a purifier. I mean, there's nothing pure about the air coming out of that thing. Uh, like I said, it is better. You can still smell it at times, and the filters do get dirty, and you have to replace them. I just ordered me another filter the other day, which I clean them and you reuse them because I'm usually outdoors anyway. So I take compressed airs and just blow the soot and dust off the back of them and reuse them as long as I can until it gets to where that's ineffective. If you're trying to find a solution for being inside and that's going to be the only thing that you use, you're gonna have to like really spend some money and get like a commercial purifier of some type, and it's not gonna be $120 something. I think for what it is, my expectations were not that high, and it performs well. I know Steve's, I think, using his now because it's better than the other option that he has. So if you don't have another option, it's better, but don't be misled to think that it's a purifier. It's not. Now, if you're outdoors, you can't see the smoke coming out of it, but you can still kind of get a smell of the smoke coming out of it around the booth. And I can show you my discharge ports on mine, and it's not getting 100% of it, but it does take the edge off. So that's my thoughts. What's yours, Steve?
Yeah, I'm there with you. Is that they're at best they're capturing some large particulate. They're cutting it down, but it's not. I mean, you're still going to smell the smoke. Um, it's maybe going to filter out the particulate from it, but the fine parts of it, that's still going to be there. Um, so they're really. I mean, these are basically they're repurposed from soldering stations to try to capture that smoke. Is really what their original purpose was, and they're just like trying to adapt it to be able to capture a laser smoke. But the laser's putting out so much more than your little wisps of soldering circuit boards and such. So I don't know. I I have a hard time recommending it because I, I I still feel you need to vent it outside. It's not something that in my basement area. No, I will not use it to try to filter it because that'll you will smell it in the rest of the house. So,
Yeah.
um, but if you're just trying to be mindful at an outdoor event, it would probably work. But if you're at an indoor event, I don't think people are going to be happy with you using it there. So
No. No, it's like I said, it's not a purifier. It's a filter. But I think it's probably if you're going to sit in a room and engrave and not have exhaust, I think it would be better to have that as far as safety wise. But I still don't think it's a good idea. So,
yeah.
now I guess if you put the machine out the window and just ran the pipe inside, that would help because it does actually have a pretty good fan in it. It just doesn't filter a whole lot.
So Trey's doing tumbler wraps with his X Tool 10 watt. Takes about an hour per cup, 65 speed, 100% power. Is there another machine that could speed up my process? Depending on the detail of your engravings, if they're not like real fine point detail, photorealistic stuff, definitely jumping up to a 20 watt module on there is going to help you out. You're going to be able to maybe not necessarily double your speed, but you're probably going to gain another 50 to 60% of your speed. So that should hopefully cut it down to maybe 35, 40 minutes or so. But you do have to be mindful as you get up in that higher wattage diodes, your focus point gets a little bit bigger, maybe a little more rectangular. So it could affect the quality of your engravings if they're really hyper detailed. But But yeah, definitely. I think that's an area even for people that are just cutting wood and whatnot. The 10 to 20 watt is a pretty big jump. When you go from 20 to 30 or on 40, that's where I think you have maybe some diminishing returns on increases. But I think definitely going from a 10 to 20 would be pretty beneficial for you.
Yeah, you definitely could go a little faster. Now, I will tell you this: I found out something interesting this weekend. I got to look into it further. Uh, my 20 watt, the X and Y axis, my Y axis is limited to 6,000 millimeters per minute, and I cannot change it. I tried and tried and tried to move it to 18,000, and it will not let me. I don't, I, which is I was trying to do some engraving, but I was doing those anodized dog tags, and I wanted to run them at 130 millimeters per second, but I wanted to cross hatch them because I wanted a really clean edges on the engrave, and it was overpowering on the crosshatch because it would top out at 100 millimeters per second on the y-axis, and that's when I realized that it was doing that, and I can't find a way to fix that. So that's a big negative in my book. I I can change
Well,
every other machine I got, but that one will not let me change it.
you know what you should do.
Put another machine in there that will let me do it.
You should get one of these fiber lasers that's going to do it really quickly.
Hey, keep rubbing it in. Keep rubbing it in. Brian, I haven't seen a filter slash purifier that I would recommend for indoor. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Vent, vent. That's my advice. John said Chris isn't alone in the future, so we got two future dwellers in here over in the land down under. Got my honeycomb. Yeah, Sharon, as long as the honeycomb's square, just make sure your honeycomb's square. If the honeycomb's not square, you may not have your stuff square. So that's something you're gonna want to check. I swear that's probably the same type stuff as the other ones. So Norbert, like I said, I would not have very high expectations of any of these filters unless you're really paying for them. So
Um, yeah. On the low end, so you want to look for these BOFA laser filters, and on the low end, they're about $2,500 for the machine, and then to restock the filters, it's about $400 to $500 a refill.
yeah,
So that'll give you an idea of where you're looking at to have and these are considered for light duty, you know. So hopefully our hobbyist type stuff. If you're cutting 8 hours a day or doing long stuff, then you need something even more industrial than that. But
yeah. Like I said, I just wouldn't have very high expectations. Most houses have a window, and if nothing else, just get you one of those little pass through things for the window that holds a tube, and when you're using the machine, direct it out there. I understand some people live in apartments and so forth and so on, and an inline filter of some type, if you live in an apartment, probably wouldn't be a bad idea, so that it doesn't look like you have a smokestack coming out your window. But you could literally just kind of build you one of those with a couple of fittings and a engravable box and some filter material. I mean, that wouldn't be hard to make. All right, guys. Comments are slowing down. It's 1:54. Steve's needing to go take his Geritol and go to bed.
here's one that maybe got passed. I was using Atom Stack 830 and the Atom Stack Chuck, but he's getting banding on the engrave.
Mm.
Um,
At 250, is that millimeters per minute or millimeters per second? I'm guessing it's per second.
well, that'd be pretty fast per second.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying that's probably the problem.
Well, he said he lowered it to 200 and 100. Um, DPI at 254. Uh, hmm. I guess, well, the 830, you could try increasing your DPI, and that's going to overlap a little bit more. 254 is close to zero point 0.1 millimeter, if I remember right. Um, so if you increase that, that's gonna bring that down lower to, if you bring it up to about 300 ish, you're going to get close to zero point 0.8, and that might decrease it. But if I guess it kind of depends on what the banding looks like. Um, if it's pretty regular but spread out more, like by like a quarter inch, that could be something else where it's a missing a step every so often.
Well, see, I'm kind of curious about this millimeters per second, millimeters per minute thing because if that's millimeters per minute, the banding he's seeing is probably overburn on the stainless, and it's actually etching, staining the stainless. So I'm still kind of waiting on that. Is that millimeters per second or millimeters per minute? Because at millimeters per minute, that's like 5 millimeters per second. Okay, don't quote me on that. It's math, but I do know that 6,000. I mean, that would be like really, really slow. That's cut speeds for wood. So I don't know if he's going that slow. It could just be that he's actually etching the material. But surely that's not millimeters per minute.
It says per second.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty fast for a tumbler and a rotary because you got so many variables. But I'm like you. I run 300 on my DPI just or my LPI because that puts me close to the size of the spot of most every machine in my shop.
Yeah, I would agree. I would up your DPI, get it around 300, and try it from there.
Because because right now, if it varies just a little bit, it might actually leave a tiny hairline uh, group of material because it. But if you overlap it a little, get it a little bit closer, it might not be as noticeable. I'm like you. I'd like to see pictures of what he's calling banding.
Yeah.
So you can drop that in the laser engraving community page. It's a blue cup leaves a blue hairline. Now blue you might have to if you've been doing black blue you may want to speed things up or slow things down just a little bit with blue because it's terrible about not wanting to burn sometimes. But if it's a hairline, is it the same spot every time? Just out of curiosity. It could be a little bit of something with the. I mean, there's several things it could be. It could be that your gantry is just a little bit out of square and is causing it to have a little bit of a slip right there in that one spot when it moves. So you may want to try to move your rotary towards the back of the machine or towards the front to see if it's gantry related, especially if it's doing it in the same spot on the design every time. If it's doing it consistently through the entire engrave, yeah, I would slow it down and see if that makes a difference. Uh, First off, what do you think, Steve? Slower with less power.
I I would go slower. I would still increase the DPI because that's also going to help make sure that uh, you're not losing uh, anything at 254. You're right on the edge. So if there's any variable off there, it could be not burning over. You want to be careful not to overlap too much because, like you say, that you can get banding from burning the stainless steel. But I would increase the DPI. Um, Keep it at the slower speed at first, but you make a good point. If it's not aligned right, it could also add a little bit as well. But yeah,
Yeah, there's a lot of variables with a rotary because if the rotary's not squared completely, I mean, you got it. But that gantry, as it's moving back and forth, if the gantry is not completely, uh, I guess it would be perpendicular with the cup, as that gantry moves a little bit, it could be causing it to be just enough to be noticeable. Yeah, Norbert, I was thinking if it could be the steps per millimeter, but it would have to be that would be like every other line. It would be noticeable. I don't know that it would be. It would depend on what it looks like. Go drop us a picture in the laser engraving community group. Well, I'll take a shot at it and see if we can figure it out.
Yeah, that might help.
Because if it's random, then it could be a bunch of things. But if it is a consistent, like every quarter of an inch or every half inch, then you can tell there's something mechanically going to be causing that. 381.
Got a couple other quick ones here. So Norbert, yeah, as far as if you're looking through a pass through to just take the edge off of it, one that and I'll have some information on this out hopefully within a month. Um, Actually, Monport makes an air filter unit that's a little bit bigger, but it actually does have an inlet and an outlet hose. So that would be kind of perfect in this scenario when you want to kind of just pre-filter the air before venting it out. It actually has extra filter blocks in it compared to the smaller Comgrow one. So that might be something to look at to help with that, just for reducing odors and such. Um, I guess stay tuned. I'll have some stuff out about that one shortly. You also asked about best materials for cleaning lenses. 90% isopropyl alcohol is what I use. 90 or better, as least water as possible. So
I think we both clicked a comment at the same time.
yeah. So
Mark said he got his figured
um,
out. He had to do the framing didn't apply. He had to do a run and then it applied. So I guess it was just a matter of getting the settings to take.
uh, 10 minus 9. You're asking preferred material. For me, I use a lot of 1/8 inch Baltic birch plywood because I have a large supply of it. I used a lot of it with my CO2 laser. Outside of that, I like using some of this 1/4 inch or 5 millimeter wood from like Home Depot and Lowe's. They have a few varieties of it that it's fairly inexpensive but decent to use. You just got to get it cut down to size. That's as far as wood, and that's probably the majority of what I do is working with wood with my stuff. So
No, Norbert. Yes, LPI is dependent upon the size of the laser dot, but with that machine, most all machines are gonna that I have here are around point zero 0.08. That's on the thin side. They're going to be point zero 0.06 on some of them, but yes, it does depend because you once you get to a certain LPI, you start overlapping the burns, the lines, and so if you overlap too much, then you're gonna have to take some heat off of it to keep from having too much. You'll wind up with, you know, two lines that basically half of the line overlaps, and so you wind up getting a darker burn if you run your LPI too high. But if you run it too low, then you leave little tiny strips of material in between the burns. So you just have to kind of, each machine is different. I prefer the machines that have a square point rather than the oh 06 by oh 08 because that makes it a little bit different when you start doing your LPI as far as trying to keep from having too much or not enough overlap. Da-da-da. Home Depot. They have uh, they have that plywood that me and you tried. It was that was it.
let's see if I can find this stuff at Home Depot. See, not every Home Depot carries the same material. Um, So that's one thing to keep in mind. But the stuff I get that's inexpensive is, I think, 1/4 inch sanded. If I can find a link here. I think so. It's quarter inch sanded ply. They call it 5.2 millimeter. And right now at my local Home Depot, they say it's $30 for a 4x8 sheet. So, did you just go quiet on me?
Yeah, I muted my mic for a
There we
second
go.
there.
So that's the link to the stuff that I play with. But like I say, that each Home Depot is a little bit different in what they stock. So you may or may not be able to find that locally. Outside of that, I've got this wood behind me. I know the ability to mill it down. So if I'm working in quarter inch material, I'll actually just take some of my hardwood and I'll mill it down to a quarter inch. But sometimes, and the problem with that is you can buy some of that in the big box stores, but they tend to be like 4 inches wide and thinner. Or if you find them wider, they're usually bowed a bit. So that's why plywood's a little bit easier to get more consistency with that if you don't have the tools to be able to cut your own down. So
Yeah. Well, William, I don't remember the whole situation, but I think you were having wasn't he having a communication issue with the machine losing USB power or something? I can't remember the whole scenario, but did our advice help you get it fixed? I don't know if I don't remember the whole ins and outs. I do remember the discussion, but I get them all mixed together. I remember I think he had several things plugged up to the computer and kept getting disconnects or something, and I think we decided that it could have been the USB load was more than the machine could handle. I think that's what it was. But let us know if it fixed whatever issues you were having. There you go. Oh, there you go. Never mind. I'm gonna be honest with you. You can go to Amazon and buy hive boxes really, really cheap. And here lately, especially because I've been so busy, I haven't really had time to make any. Even though I do mill my own lumber, and it's hard to beat these the actual wax dipped hives that they're selling for like $100 for the whole setup. It's hard to beat that uh, when you look at the amount of time that it takes. Oh, I've actually been buying those already put together. Or you just basically they come in a box, you put them together, and the last ones I bought, you really didn't even have to nail them. I shot them together with a crown gun, but they have some really cool dovetail jig slots in them that make them kind of lock together. Mark said his pointer offset is working.
yeah, Trey, and I think Chad answered this for you. There's line interval and then there's lines per inch. Those it actually you can change either one and it'll automatically change the other, but that will adjust your interval there for you. So that's what you're looking for. Just open up your layer settings and you can adjust it from there.
Jim, I'm gonna be honest with you. Since I've got a chuck now, I haven't used a roller since. Anytime I'm doing a tumbler now, I'm using a chuck. It's just so much more stable. There's so much less risk of it slipping or sliding or moving. Especially with these big beefy, the Atom Stack and the Acer chucks, you can do a 64-ounce tumbler and have no problems with it moving. I mean the big beefy chucks is the way to go when doing rotary stuff, in my opinion. I haven't even used a roller. And I have like a few of them. What do you think, Steve? What's your opinion? Would you use a roller over a chuck to do a tumbler?
No, not for tumblers, not for something that I can chuck up on one of those. No,
Yeah,
especially with the larger ones that have you can do the angling just by adjusting that stepper size. You don't have to shim it up or anything. Yeah, those those latest ones have made it really slick, really nice.
yeah. Well, Jim, it depends on the engrave. I try to stay far enough away from the top that normally I can use the little short teeth. But in the event that you were doing a full wrap, you could go inside and do it that way. But with the taper of most tumblers being, kind of opened toward the top, you're going to have more of a risk of slippage, unless it's one of those skinny tumblers where it's the same diameter all the way down. I think so. I would always try to go with the outside rather than the inside.
It's also easier when you're going on the outside to get it square on the chuck, because they're resting on 3 points of the inside of that chuck with the lip of the cup, whereas on the outside you got to make sure you don't have it skewed and wobbled. So
Yeah.
I try to use the outside as much as I can.
But I mean, if you were trying to do something near the top where of the cup, you could always clamp it in by the bottom, by the base, if your design didn't go down to that way. But the chucks are a game changer. I mean, it is so much easier. I used to have to take this big weighted socket that I had and have to put a block of wood up against the back of them to keep them from sliding and moving. And now all I got to do is clamp them in and go. I mean, it's a whole lot better, whole lot better. Yeah, Jim, I don't I don't think me or Steve either one would reach for the RA2 nowadays if we were needing a rotary. Would you, Steve?
No, not with the option though. I mean, the RA2, it's a good chuck, and they were out with that what, like 9 months before these others. So definitely these others kind of did the copy and improvement thing. Um,
Yeah.
and so it's still, if you've got that, it's still great. But having access to these others, it just really makes it so much easier. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, the RA2 when it first came out, I mean that was like, a big step in the right direction. And it's not bad, like you said, especially if once you learn how to kind of secure things up and shore things up with it. But but yeah, the bigger ones, the bigger the better on, in my opinion, on that kind of thing. Because here, I mean, we actually have like huge tumblers, so you don't need the tumbler to weigh more than the rotary. All right, let me throw this up there again for some of you in case you haven't seen it. And then for the guys that says we needed to have a ticker, there's our ticker. Uh, but anyway, I think next week. Let's see. Yes, you think you'll be able to have some video next week, Steve, of the fiber?
Um. Well, there's my channel. People can watch it. uh, I'm gonna see, because I've been looking through this, and this is kind of an interesting point for me, because I have a lot of experience with lasers. I've had a lot of experience with various software, but this is my first time playing with fiber lasers. So in some ways, I'm searching for info as kind of a newcomer to this type of laser. So I'm finding the things where I'm watching these videos going, that was absolutely zero help at all. And then I'm finding the other videos that are loads of help, but 45 minutes long. So yeah, I'm going to see if I can maybe start out with some simpler ones, of just like getting it set up, and first burns and such. So I'm going to see if I can get some content out. If nothing else, I'll try to throw some stuff in the Facebook group as kind of teasers of, here's what I'm playing with, or here's what I'm struggling with. Either way, we'll get some stuff out there on that.
Yeah, Norbert, I haven't seen it. If you put it up there yesterday, like I said, I was at Peach Jam yesterday from 7 a.m. all the way until about 1 o'clock a.m. this morning. I didn't look at news feeds yesterday.
It was like 2 hours ago. That's it. So
Yeah.
that's when he called you out.
Oh, but I haven't looked at that. And then 2 hours ago, I was washing my truck, cutting grass, watering chickens, cleaning chicken waters, checking on bees. So I have been very busy. I plan to catch up on what's going on in the group Hopefully this week, maybe I can get around to catching up with everybody. But if you
You're
haven't,
gonna have to.
what is it?
Yeah, you're gonna say you're gonna have to check it out. He's challenging you on your tech and enclosure. So
I'll have to go see what that is when I get off. But if you hadn't, guys, subscribe to myself as well as Steve. Like I said, it helps us out. We do enjoy helping you guys solve your problems, figure out best practices for laser engraving or whatnot. Not necessarily always the best practice, I guess you could say, but our practices anyway. What we do, how it works for us. I try to keep things simple and keep them effective, but simple. And sometimes I improvise and do different things. Matter of fact, my latest thing is I was doing some work on the Niji the other day, and it uses the module. You can't take the shield off because the module extends all the way down, and the module kept getting hung on the material. So now I have a Niji module that does not have that shield. It did, however, take a little cutting with a metal cutting blade, but I have a Niji that looks a lot like the rest of my machines now. It doesn't have that little shield. So, and it works better. But I haven't tried comments after last rating, but for some reason this rate doesn't close out. Well, once the live comments, once we exit, I don't think you could comment to the live comments anymore, but it still should comment to our pages, to our respective YouTube channels if you comment on it. But
yeah, shortly after it closes, it flips over to kind of a regular video, and then comments show up
yeah,
uh, on the video at that point. So,
yeah.
but you might have to refresh or something.
But guys, like I said, we've also talked about trying to bring some other folks, doing some other videos in between the Sunday lives maybe, and trying to bring some other content in. So be on the lookout for that. That may be something that's coming in the future. It may actually, I don't know about Steve, but it may be this winter before we really get heavy into that. Once everybody's kind of pushed back indoors, because everybody's schedules get a little more hectic when you can actually get outside and do things and have yard work to do. But once the frozen tundra reinvades Steve's yard, we're gonna try to do some pretty creative stuff, hopefully. So, but anyways, anything you want to say there, Steve? Final. I like the hat, by the way. Are you selling those
Uh,
on? You selling those on Etsy or something?
no. I just it's a project in the making. So
You gonna
as a lot of my things are.
you gonna do a video on it?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, no, I actually have a hat press and everything to kind of for applying
Well,
the stuff. So
Mr. Fancy Pants, you got him a hat press.
I snuck in on a deal a while ago. So
Yeah. All right, guys. Yeah, Chris, it no longer has its protective cover. I'm fixing to do some stuff to the Niji. I may be fixing to try to make me a 20-watt Niji. I've got some spare parts laying around. But yeah, Brian, Steve's got his own hat. You missed it. But anyways, y'all stay tuned, and if y'all have any ideas for content, like I said, drop a comment down below. You can do it on any of the other videos. Send us a message, whatever, because we're always looking for something to do. That's right, John. There's always the sound effect. And I'm fixing to go find out what Norbert's trying to call me out on. So I'll see y'all guys later.
all right, we'll